Tonight, I want to talk about form modes. Now, this is one feature of Drupal that I don't think has been talked about a lot. Everyone knows what a view mode is. Well, if you don't, let's quickly go through what view modes, form modes, or as they're collectively known as, display modes. So if you go to structure and then click on display modes right here, you have two options, form modes and view modes. And if we do click on display modes here, you can see form modes manage custom form modes, view modes manage custom view modes. That really explains it, doesn't it? But essentially what a form mode does is that it allows you to contextually group field widgets together. Because a view mode allows you to contextually group field formatters. So a form mode allows you to group the widgets. A view mode allows you to group formatters. Now, view modes we've talked about in the past. And if you do any type of Drupal site building, you would have created a full content view mode, a teaser view mode, or probably a card view mode or something like that. So if we go to structure, content types, and then click on manage fields, a field has three parts to it. You have the field type. This defines what type of data you're storing, and you can manage that from the manage field section. And then you have manage form display. These are the widgets. This is the form element that is used to add data or content into the field. Then from manage display, this is the formatter which renders that stored data to the end user. And so here with Drupal CMS, you can see we have a default, card, and teaser view mode. So the default one is the one that's used by default, obviously, but essentially the default one is used whenever Drupal tries to render one of these unchecked view modes and they're not enabled, then it just defaults to default. Then you have card, which is used to just display content as a card. And then you have teaser, which is displayed as a teaser. And if you've done any type of Drupal site building, you should be pretty familiar with this methodology of modifying your Drupal sites. Now, form modes, those are very similar to view modes. They just allow you to manage widgets, and that is it. But not a lot of people talk about it. Not a lot of people utilize them. And that's why I thought today, that's what we are going to talk about, form modes. But to utilize form modes, you need to use one or two modules. Well, I'm going to be showing you two modules and then two other ones, how you can then integrate and make use of these form modes. Because out of the box, there is no way of actually utilizing the form modes. Yes, you can create them, you can configure them, but there's no way of actually utilizing them. No easy way of utilizing them. So the first module we're going to take a look at is called Form Mode Manager. Great name. I love the name. Usability of a module starts with a name. I think I say that pretty much every single night, but that is true. It helps you manage your form modes. Then you have Form Mode Control. Again, great name. It allows you to control your form modes. So these two modules allow you to utilize custom form modes, but they do it in very different ways. And then I quickly want to end things off by showing you how to utilize these custom form modes that we create by using add content by bundle and also inline entity form. So let's start things off by looking at Form Mode Manager. Now, Form Mode Manager allows you to create, well, you can create your form mode using Drupal core. That is fine. But Form Mode Manager allows you to utilize them. And it exposes the form modes through a tab or a local menu. And if that doesn't make sense, I'll show you in a second. And it has a decent amount of installs, and it's pretty maintained, like it works pretty well. And the other feature that this module has is that it's got a sub module that allows you to automatically create a registration form using a custom form mode, but then it takes things one step further. It then allows you to sync roles. So if somebody registers through that specific form mode, they get a specific role, which is actually a very important part when you're dealing with multiple registration pages. Okay, so we are going to take a look at the form mode manager first. So let's start things off by going to extend. And if I search for form mode, should see form mode manager. So let's just go ahead and install it. And we'll take a look at the other submodules in a second, but let's just start off with form mode manager. And you do have these permissions. Now, these permissions do play a pretty important part, but we'll come back to that because what we need to do first is go ahead and create our form mode. So what we can do is we can go to display modes, form modes, and let's click on add form mode in the top right. Click on content because we want to add we want to create a new form mode for the basic page, and that is content. Click on content, and then let's call this one simple. So just imagine we want to create another form mode that just has a cut down version of the original form. So instead of having 10 odd fields, you want a simple version where it's like just the required fields. And you can automatically enable it from on a content type from this page, but we'll keep that unchecked because I'll show you what that actually means. So we've got everything set up here, and let's go to content types. And we need to go to then manage form display. And if we scroll all the way down, now we should see custom display settings. Now this is the same custom display settings that you can see if you click on manage display. And then you click on custom display settings here. This is where you control your view modes. Again, the same way is done for form modes. So let's go ahead and enable it. And then up the top, we have default and we have simple. So right now, if we go to the create page, we will see the default settings, but now we have the simple settings. So if we go, well, before we do that, let's actually clean this up, okay? Let's chuck out a whole bunch of these fields because on simple, I just want to see the required fields and also tags. So let me just clean this up. So content, no, don't need that one. Oh yeah, description I need. Wait, do I need that? Is that one? I think that one is required. So I'll remove that one, that one. Well, featured image, off you go. Scheduled dates and moderation state. All right, we've done all of that and cleaned that up. All right. Now, if we go to content, and straight away you'll be like, all right, can I see something? Should I see something? And the short answer is, well, technically yes. So let's go ahead and clear the cache, because if we clear the cache, now I'm running drush CR. So, and I'm putting ddev in front because I'm using ddev. So let's come back here and refresh. You'll straight away see on the right-hand side, you get now 2 buttons. And that is add content and also add content as simple. So that just means you are creating content using the simple view mode. So if we click on add content, we can see the standard default page. If we click on add content as simple, we can see a cut down version of the form. Now, Drupal likes to just throw in and pretty much hard code some of these sidebar field sets, as you can see here. You could work around that just by writing a bit of custom code, really. But we're just going to ignore that for now. But here you can see that because I'm logged in as admin, I can see everything. So I can see both the add content and also add content as simple. If I edit a page, so let's go to the home page, which is a basic page, and I click on edits, I should see edit as default and also edit as simple. So I can view the content edit form in different form modes. Now, for this content type, which only has, I don't know, what is it, three or four fields, creating a separate form mode. I was kind of thinking, when am I going to say view mode instead of form mode? Creating a separate form mode doesn't really make sense. But if you do have a content type with 30 odd fields, which is not uncommon. I've worked on a lot of content types that have a lot of fields. Utilizing a custom view mode is actually pretty useful. And so if you want to configure things, what you can do is go to configuration. Let's open that up and let's click on form mode manager. And from here, you can actually disable specific form modes. So you could say choose which form modes would be excluded from being processed. So there may be form modes that you don't want to be visible. Then the other option that you have is how these are actually displayed, the actual links. So here we have secondary tasks. So a secondary task is essentially one of these items right here. The other option you have is called primary task. So let's save that and refresh. And then he adds it at the top with the tabs. Okay, so that's the real difference. Now, the benefit really comes from when you're utilizing these form modes with user roles. So let's just leave everything as it is. And what I'll do is I'll create a content editor. So this one's test editor. And then I'll give this one editor and editor. Okay. And I'll give it an account. All right, cool. Now, if we log in, so let me just pop this. No, not like that. Let's pop that there, just so I can grab it. And I just go, what is it? Editor. Okay, we'll get an access denied there. That's all right. But straight away, you'll see that we cannot edit or create any content. Now, why is that? Well, that is because as soon as we turn on the form mode manager module, we need to adjust permissions. So this is important to understand. If you are going to add this module all of a sudden to to an existing Drupal site, you will have to adjust your permissions. And this is important to understand. So let's go to permissions here and we're going to refresh. And straight away, you'll see we do have a few more options. So now that we have the simple form mode, it automatically gives us a specific permission for it. So we can see here, use simple form mode. We can go ahead and let's add that to content editor. So we've added that to content editor. And now if we come along in here, we can create content as simple, so using the simple view mode, and we can also go ahead and edit the content as simple. The other thing to be aware of is if you do change the settings. So let's go back to, so where's the settings again? Go back here, local. So let's change this back to secondary tasks, and we refresh. You will no longer have a tab up the top. So that's just something to be aware of, that now if you're logged in with the content editor role and that role can only edit one of your custom form modes and you haven't selected primary tasks, then they can't really edit it from here. They'll have to go to content, then click on this edit as simple. So again, you want to think about, well, make sure you click on content. You want to figure out exactly which local task you want to use. Is it primary tasks or is it a secondary tasks? So just be aware of that. And finally, if we come back here, if you just want to give your editors access to all the view modes, sorry, form modes, there you go, I did it again. Click on use default form mode and click on save permissions. Now, I believe they'll have access to edit and also they can go ahead and edit as simple as well. So they have access to everything. So the important thing here is that if you are going to install this module on an existing site that has editors, be aware that you do need to adjust your permissions, or all of a sudden they're going to be like, why can't I edit this? Why can't I change this? And you're going to be locking them out of a website. All right, so that's pretty much form mode manager. Now what I want to do is show you the submodule, which is one of the reasons why I'd actually discovered this module to begin with. So form mode manager, there we go. So you do have two submodules, theme switcher and user roles assign. Let's take a look at form mode manager, user roles assign. All right, so we've done that. We've set that stuff up. And what we need to do now is go ahead and we'll create a new form mode for the user, so we can essentially have a specific registration page for content editors. And so we can essentially have, well, we'll have two registration pages. So Drupal allows us to create our own registration pages already. What we can do is we can go to people and then click on account settings. And well, let's first of all allow visitors and let's just allow passwords. And if we click on manage form display, we can come along in here and we can enable register. And I'll quickly create a custom field just to illustrate a point. So we'll call this one tech. And we'll add in Drupal, add another, call this one React. And click on save. Oh, first comment on YouTube, like. Well, yes, I like it as well. It is a pretty good module. All right, so we have this tech field, and what we're going to do is on default, this view mode. So this default view mode is used when you edit your user account. So if I go to, well, my account right here. So what is it? Edit profile. I can then see tech. Okay, I can see that. That's fine. Then if we come back here and go to register, you can see that tech isn't there. But if we come along and let's create another form mode, and I'll call this one, what are we going to call it? Editor. Why not? And let's enable it straight away. And we can go to editor and let's leave tech there. So it's straight away available, but it should only be available on the editor form mode. So we're going to have two ways that people can register. And if we log out, always forget to log out. We need to adjust the permissions. Just like we had to adjust it for the form modes previously, we have to adjust the permissions and allow anonymous users access to this form mode. So let's go back in here and I will open up, well, let's go to extend. Let's search for form mode manager. And no, that is not it. All right, let's go back. I think we need to just use this one. Yes, we do. All right, here we go. So we just go back to the form mode manager permissions, and we should see use editor form mode with user entity. So you should allow the editor access to that. And also, where is it? Register. Well, you get registered by default, and that is, I think, about it. Use the default. Okay, well, let's allow the standard users to use the default. And there we go. All right. So we've done that. And we also, oh no, I do think we need to allow the editor, the anonymous, to use the default view mode. Okay. And now if we refresh, we should see create. So this is for the standard user, and this is for the editor. Now, you will get these random errors. Now, to fix this, all you need to do, can you guess it, is just clear the cache. That's it. Nice and easy. Clear the cache, and you are on your back in business. Down here, you can see tech. So we can select our tech, and we're not done just yet, because if we register, we just have the the authenticated user role, and that is it. But in this case, we want to automatically have the content editor role automatically assigned, because trust me, you don't have to manually assign roles to users and stuff like that. It can be a little annoying. So what you can do is, let's clean up these tabs. And if you go back to configuration, manage form display, you should see registration role assigned. Click on that. And now you have your editor form mode, and you can then assign which roles get assigned when somebody registers through it. So let's select content editor and click on save. And if I refresh and I come along in here, I'll just put some random email in. And what is this one? Content, I'll give this one content editor. Select tech, click on create. Straight away, I do have the correct roles. The reason why I know that is because I can see the back end. And if we come to people, it's the content editor with the content editor role. If we log out and go to create, well, let me just fix this up. And what's this one called? Auth user. And I'll log in. I just see this dashboard, this admin dashboard. It's not that useful. And you can see that I don't have access to many things. And that is because I just have the authenticated user role. Here you can see, well, you can't see any roles because every logged in user gets the authenticated user role right here. So if you want to have roles automatically assigned and you want to create custom form modes, then I highly recommend that you check out the form mode manager submodule specifically for assigning roles directly to users. So when it comes to using form mode manager, that's pretty much it. Simple to use, it works. The only thing you need to be aware of is that occasionally you need to clear the cache if your site is caching turned on. But other than that, it's a pretty decent module. And I've used it in the past specifically for these for the ability to automatically assign roles to users, because in the past I've had to write custom code to do that. I've written custom code to do that. I've used the rules module to do that. And I think now you can use ECA, which is that event condition actions. ECA, that's what it is. Event condition actions to deal with it. So yeah, form mode manager. All right, another comment. These videos deserve more visibility. Ha, well, thank you. I do believe these videos do deserve more visibility. When people don't want to learn, or Drupal or Word or YouTube doesn't show. No, well, let's just uninstall before we move on. We'll uninstall Form Mode Manager. Now, the thing is though, I think Drupal's just not popular. It's not as popular as the other platforms. That's the thing. And it doesn't have to be, it's like, well, it's not WordPress, it's not React. You don't have those type of numbers. I wish I did. But yeah, I wouldn't mind some more visibility. All right, let's just uninstall all of this just so that makes it easier to have a look at the other module. Okay. So where's that? No. And now let's take a look at form mode control. Again, this allows you to control your form modes, not manage them. I don't know what the difference is, but yeah, let's just go with that. This module, form mode control and form mode manager, are similar, but they go about it in a different way. And I'll show you how this works. Now, form mode control, you can see here, yes, it's got, you do have similar modules. The biggest difference is that form mode control works around your actual role. And essentially you configure it to say, in a way where if you have the content editor role, then you automatically edit the form using a specific form mode. Whereas form mode manager allows you to see all of the available options from those local tasks. But form mode control gives you access to the form mode depending on your role. So if you have a situation where you want, say, content editors to have access to the content editor form mode where they can see a certain amount of form widgets, and then you have I don't know, let's say instead of content editor, I'm trying to come up with another name for roles. I hate dealing with roles. It's just such a pain to deal with. But let's just say you have manager or something, and then the manager can get access to the form mode specifically for managers, but they don't want to see the form mode that content editors see because everything is tied to their role. That's where the form mode control is useful. But you can still switch over to the form modes by passing in this simple parameter if you have access to it. So that's important, if you have access to it. So let's clean up these tabs first. And let's go here and I will search for, well, let's refresh. And I'll search for form mode control. And there's only one module, which is great. Let's install that. And we'll open up the permissions. And again, the permissions do play an important part. And let's go to structure and, well, let's go to structure. Yep. Display modes, form modes, and you should see configure. And if you click on configure, then you have all of your specific content areas. Well, no, sorry, all of your entity types. So let's click on basic page. So under content, then you can specify which form mode should be used for specific roles and if it is the creation or the modification. So you can have a different form mode when you click on the create button compared to when you edit the form mode. So we can have this set up in a way where on the create page, you will see here, administrator can see the default or they can see the simple version. Now, we should fix this up now. Let's fix up the permissions. So let's go down here and let's allow content editor access to simple. So we've got it right down here. And they should have access to default as well. Because then what we can do, let's refresh. Now on the creation, so when a content editor creates it, let's just allow them to see the simple form mode, but then on modification, they can see everything. And so we can do that. And if we come along in here, let me log out. What was the user account? I forgot. What was it? Content editor. That's it. And I know because I know the password's the same. Now, of course, I don't do that for live websites, but for local sites, I'm not fussed. All right, so we come along in here, click on create. And now if we click on basic page, we will just see our simple form mode, which is title, description, and tags. And this one modifies the existing URL. So remember, with form mode manager, there was a brand new route essentially. But this modifies the existing form and then dynamically adjusts the form mode like so. But if we have access to the default one, what we can do is let's go here and edit, and we can see all of the fields. But if we change, I think, what is it, display, and then set this equals to, what is it, simple? There you go. We can see just simple. And also, we don't have to deal with those buttons like we did for the form mode manager. Because from an editor standpoint, they just come here, they click on it, and then they can add in all the required fields, and then they can come along in here and just finish filling it out. Now, of course, you may not want to do that on a real site. I'm just doing that just to illustrate the purpose of using the module. So that is the two modules that allow you to manage or control form modes directly in Drupal. So Drupal allows you to create these form modes, but it doesn't really give you a nice way of utilizing them. And so by using form mode manager, you can get a route, so essentially a path where you can edit your content based off a specific form mode, and then form mode control does things a little differently, but it utilizes the role as the major part. So you are given access to a specific form mode. Now let's change gears a bit and look at two modules that allow us to utilize form modes. The first one is called Add Content by Bundle. And this one actually recommends to use form mode control. I've covered this module in the past. It was just, I think, recently in one of the recent live streams. And it allows you to add in buttons to a view where you can just create content, but you can also specify specific form modes. And this is where you can actually utilize and create some pretty decent UIs for it. So what we're going to do is, luckily for us, Drupal CMS already comes with the module, so we don't have to download anything. So let's click on, what is it, Add Content by Bundle. There we go. Got that, and click on Install. So give that a moment. And what we're going to do is let's edit this view, and this content page is actually a view. And so all we need to do to this view, I always like to rhyme things, is, that's all the rhyming I've got. Let's come along in here. You want to make sure the module's installed, obviously, and then click on Add, and you should see this Add Content by Bundle link. Click on that. Let's edit it. And we can specify the content bundle we want to select. And here is the fun part. You have form mode. Default simple. Let's add simple. And I'll just add the label of create page and click on apply. Scroll down and click on save. And then if we go here, well, where is content? We get this nice little button. Well, let's fix that up actually. Let's grab it. What are the classes? The classes here. Let's add these classes. And I'll add them here. And last but not least, what I want to do is the target should be modal dialog. Now, you don't have to do this. I just like it personally. And let's click on apply, click on save. Now, if we refresh, we get this nice little button right here called add page. Of course, you've got this add content here on the right-hand side. But if we click on this, we get a nice little modal, which is good. I do like this little pop-up. Especially with the Gin theme, the back-end theme. It looks very, very nice. And I should also mention today I saw, now, this isn't going to age well because I don't like to put time-specific things in videos. But anyway, it's been decided that Gin theme will replace the Claro back-end theme in Drupal core, essentially. So Drupal CMS is utilizing Gin, but it's going to be also then utilized for Drupal core. So it's a bit of a win. So we didn't have Claro for that long. We had the 7 module, the 7 theme for a very long time. But then it also means all my videos that use the Claro then become a little dated. That's all right. I like to update them anyway. I like to update them. So yeah, you can see that by using this add content by bundle and by utilizing form modes, you can create nice, clean forms. Of course, you want to clean this up as well. You can easily remove this with a bit of custom code. That's easy. But then you can easily clean up and have these nice forms right here. Look at that. Look at that. Click on save and it is saved. So add content by bundle, use it, especially if you're using views. I like it, especially when I discovered it just a couple months ago. It's a very useful module. Now, the final module we're going to take a look at is called Inline Entity Form. This is a widget, or it's actually 2 widgets that are used on entity reference fields. And what it allows you to do is that instead of having an entity reference field and then just having a select or a autocomplete, which means if you have to create one of these entities that you want to reference, then you have to go to a separate page and you need to create it and then come back. It allows you to display an entity form in line, hence the name, Inline Entity Form. And it's been around for a while. I remember using it heavily in Drupal 7 days. So I've used it for a while, and whoa, 150,000 installs. That is a lot. I did not even think that module, well, to be fair, it has been around for ages. Oh yeah, here you go. June 7th, 2011. Well, let me click on the stats. I always love to look at the stats. Always love to look at the stats. And, ooh. Okay, this is interesting. So pretty much it grew. This is an interesting representation of the mod, of like the stats, because if you take a look at, well, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent right now. If you take a look at some other statistics and the stats, let's take a look at, what is it? Drupal CTools, say. Oh no, what is it? CTools? No. Let's take a look at Token. Because Token is like the 2nd largest module or something like, it's a massive module. If we take a look at the stats here, okay, 500,000 Drupal installs. You can see that around 2016, and this is a common thing I've seen. 2016 was the peak of Drupal. Some might say, you know, something happened in the simulation in 2016 because that's when all, you know, stuff went a bit weird. But 2016 is where like Drupal kind of peaked, and then it's been slowly going down. Some other modules you can kind of see a big decrease, but with this module you don't. I'm not sure why. I can kind of see that, yeah, Drupal 8 took over, and essentially pretty much everything from, well, ignore Drupal 7, but from Drupal 8.1 then up is all like from Drupal 8 plus. But you can see it's going down slightly. Well, that's interesting. I always like to check out the stats. Always like to check them out. But anyway, that is a decent amount of installs. And I have covered the inline entity form in the past because it was utilized. The same team that worked on Drupal Commerce also implemented this module. All right, so go ahead, download it. You will have to download it. It's not part of Drupal core. And what we can do is let's go to extend and search for inline entity form. You do have inline form errors. Don't select that. Inline entity form. I do sometimes get confused with these modules. They look too similar, the names, because one has, both modules have inline form, the word inline and the word form in it. It's just where the fields are. Sorry, not the fields, where the words are. All right, so we've configured that. Now, what we're going to do is let's go to content types and manage fields, and we're going to create a related field just to utilize this because we need an entity reference field. So we'll call this one related. Select content, basic page, and click on save settings. Okay, cool. Now go to manage form display, and we'll move related below, well, no, above tags, and click on save. Okay. If you click on the widget dropdown, you will see two options: inline entity form simple and complex. Don't even bother with the simple widget unless you have a specific reason for it. It just doesn't give you as much flexibility, because if you select simple, yes, you can select a form mode. That is what we want. But if we select complex and click on the cog wheel, you get a lot more options. You can duplicate content, you can select existing, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. However, the most important dropdown for this video is this form mode. So select simple, that is our one. And we can make it collapsible, which is great. We can also allow users to add new nodes. That's fine. Select existing and even duplicate. Duplicate's pretty cool. And then you can also deal with what to do when you delete content. All right, so we've done all of that, and let's go to basic page. And here we've got related. So we can add an existing. So if we click on add an existing, we can search for any existing page and reference it. But if we click on add a new, we get just the 3 fields in the simple form mode. Nearly did it there again, not view mode, form mode. Let me show you what it looks like when you turn on default. So look at this. It's nice and clean, okay? It's a very clean. You only see the fields that you need. If we switch it to, where is it? Let's switch it back to default. And click on save, refresh, go add node. Now you see a whole bunch of fields. So straight away you can see that, yeah, it's like, okay, nah, this isn't looking that good. Nah, it's like, nah, no chance. It's not looking good. And just imagine, oh, look at that. You can even go inception level. There you go. You can even go deeper, deeper. So inline entity reference, yeah. Let's see how many. This is inception level of if you watch the movie Inception. Yeah. So if you are going to use inline entity forms, then utilize a form mode. It just makes life so much easier. Now, form modes are actually utilized in Drupal, and you may not notice it. So like things like the registration form has the register form mode. I believe also media has a media library form mode, and you can also utilize form modes, I believe, with paragraphs. So you can have a different form mode on a paragraph type, and then depending on how you configure the widget, it will then adjust the form mode. So if you want to control your form modes, take a look at form mode manager and form mode control. And then if you want to make use of custom form modes, then take a look at add content by bundle and inline entity form. Now, I'm sure there are other modules that allow you to control form modes, and I've probably missed them because trust me, there's a lot of Drupal modules out there. So leave a comment if there are any that you recommend. I always love to promote other modules. And yes, that is it for this evening. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the 3 comments in YouTube. And if you want to learn more about Drupal, head over to webwash.net and also check out the other videos on the YouTube channel. Just go to live and you'll see a whole bunch of videos. I am in the process of actually posting cut down versions, just little snippets of these live streams on the actual YouTube channel, just to kind of expose things. But you know, stuff like that always takes a little longer because it requires editing. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next week. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.